What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is T.E. Lawrence, and today is the 5th anniversary of Helltaker. Wow, it's amazing how much time has passed since the game's inception back in 2020. And it's even more amazing how a casual game about hot demon girls has not only become so popular, but also remains popular even to this day, 5 years later. And this is clearly evident by the robust community of Helltaker artists still making fan arts, I being among them. One is given to wonder, however, why such a simple, casual, and free game gained so much traction out of hundreds of other such titles on Steam. What makes Helltaker so special out of all the other dating sim and puzzle games, whose devs could only dream of achieving such popularity? Well, on this 5th anniversary of Helltaker, we shall take a step back and examine how a simple game about hot demon girls became so renowned throughout the entire world. Before we dive in, however, allow me to tell my story of how I was introduced to Helltaker. I actually discovered Helltaker back in summer of 2021, a little later compared to most of the fandom. I was still in college back then and struggling to find my footing as an artist. That and a certain virus, which I will avoid naming not to trigger YouTube's censorship, was still kicking around. So being trapped indoors all the time, I had a lot of free time on my hands. One day during summer, a video popped up in my YouTube recommendations called Helltaker: A Date with Lucifer by a YouTuber named Amadeus Films. The idea of going on a date with the devil itself was intriguing, so I gave it a watch. And as opposed to anything weird or esoteric, it was a fun and quirky little story. I was especially enamored by the character designs and actually thought Amadeus Films was behind them, until realizing later on that it was a fan work of Helltaker. Afterwards, I dove deeper into the Helltaker rabbit hole until eventually, by the end of the summer, I was completely hooked on the fandom and made my very first Helltaker fan art in the form of Pandamonica as a mobster. Little did I know, however, that discovering Helltaker would not only kickstart my 4-year-long journey within the fandom, but also define me as an artist for years to come. Now, today on this 5th anniversary of Helltaker, I find myself introspecting about this awesome game and my time within the fandom after all these years. So this is my way of expressing gratitude towards such an awesome game, as well as reminding me what got me so hooked onto the game and its community in the first place. Before we proceed, however, enjoy the speed paint of Judgment the High Prosecutor performing Usain Bolt's lightning pose in the 2024 Paris Olympics. The finished piece will be shown at the end. Without further ado, let's begin. Now, this doesn't need any explaining for most of you, but for the very few who are brand new to the fandom, just what is Helltaker? Helltaker is a free indie puzzle game and a semi-dating sim developed by Lukasz Piskors, better known as Van Ripper. As the Helltaker, your goal is to dive down the depths of hell and gather a harem of hot demon girls. Emphasis on hot because unlike biblical demons, they are an absolute eye candy. In each stage, you have limited turns and you must use them sparingly as you push away obstacles like stones and skeletons, as well as avoiding various traps. After completing each stage, you are faced with one of the demon girls where you must choose the right answers to their questions, or else. The only exceptions are Justice, where you have no wrong answers, which is why she's best girl, as well as Judgment, where you must face off her sin machine, and you better have some insane reflexes for the latter. But in the end, it's all worth it as you finally gather all 8 demons plus an angel into your jolly harem, even despite the godforsaken final boss fight. And as a bonus, the game has some kick-ass soundtrack by Mitzi's, such as Vitality, and Epitomize. In conclusion, Helltaker is a short and bite-sized experience, which does not require too much time nor effort, yet still gives an exciting experience and a lasting impression on you. Sure, it may not be a full $60 game that provides days of content, but that is not the point of Helltaker. In fact, I'd say it's quite refreshing to see something so simple and casual, as many games today feel more like chores than casual and relaxing fun, as games were meant to be. I'm looking at you, all of you AAA studios. And since Helltaker is also completely free, everyone can enjoy our favorite sharply dressed hot demon girls. And speaking of sharply dressed hot demon girls, in my opinion, what makes Helltaker really stand out is its theme. As stated before, Helltaker isn't just about demon girls, it's about sharply dressed demon girls, not skimpily clad like those generic anime we see nowadays. Well, the only exception is Judgment, who is indeed skimpy, but in a good way. Nevertheless, aside from Judgment and Azazel, all the girls are dressed in red and black formal attire, composed of button shirts, fitted pants, and slick suits. But even if the demon gals are dressed in similar wardrobes, they still stand out from one another due to their unique characteristics and personalities. You have Pandamonica, the tired and disheveled secretary of Hell who actually runs the cogs of Hell, as well as in desperate need for some caffeine. However, it's probably best if you don't give her any, or at the very least not too much, because once she has some, it brings out a different side of her. You have Modius, the cute and bubbly gal who is an absolute nymphomania. She is the very personification of pure and unbridled lust. Yet, when it comes to actual romance, she is not only absolutely clueless about it, but also turned on by it more than lust. You have Justice, who sports the look of an 80s action movie star. A demon girl so awesome that there are no wrong answers to her questions. And of course, muscular and action-packed tomboys are supreme, which is why Justice is best girl. You have Judgment, the High Prosecutor of Hell who's in charge of punishing the sinners for their misdeeds. Her fierce and intimidating persona wreaks havoc among those beneath her, as her profession requires. Yet underneath all that extreme persona, Judgment is actually the kindest of all demons. So kind that it's hard to believe that she's a demon to begin with. Which is why Judgment is best wife. As demonstrated, despite the demon girls having near identical wardrobes, Helltaker still does an excellent job in distinguishing them from each other through their unique personalities and characteristics. Unlike other harems, especially in anime, where the cast suffers from same-face syndrome, as well as overly exaggerated quirks, which are often done to make up for said syndrome, the Helltaker demon girls manage to maintain familiarity with each other, while still retaining their own unique character. Just to demonstrate, if I were to say, take Amelia from ReZero and insert her into the cast of Konosuba, the average person wouldn't be able to tell that Amelia is clearly in the wrong cast, because unfortunately, a lot of anime characters fall short with the same design flaws of looking too damn similar, and even dare I say, generic. And no, not this generic, she's the good generic. Suffice it to say, the excellent character design, both in visuals and personality, is what makes Helltaker so captivating and engaging. It is why despite having little to no narrative, Helltaker is still able to tell a great story through its character-based interactions. Speaking of narrative, now the one drawback of Helltaker is its bare-bones plot. There is no proper narrative that tells a grandiose tale of adventure. But that's okay, because it doesn't need any. As stated in my Lore Master video, Helltaker is a character-based story, not a narrative one. The selling point of Helltaker is its cast of hot demon girls. And because Helltaker has no proper narrative, it leaves many things open-ended as well, as demonstrated by the cliffhanger ending. This in itself provides a golden opportunity for the fandom, which is where it steps in and allows the magic to happen. What I especially love about Helltaker's fandom is how fans have created their own derivative fanworks of the original game. This ranges from fan fictions, fan arts, fan comics, and even game devs creating fan sequels. As stated earlier, the base game's ending is ambiguous and open-ended. Yes, FanRepper has published some comics following the game, but for the most part, the Helltaker universe is still quite vague and underdeveloped. And my favorite fanworks are those that explore what happened after Taker finished forming his harem and try to expand the Helltaker universe into something much greater than its original conception. One example is a YouTuber named Amadeus Films. This guy is the OG in my eyes. He is one of the first to dive deeper into the harem's dynamics by creating slices of life videos of Taker and his girls after they settled on the surface. The way he portrayed the relationships between everyone, especially between Taker and Lucy, are so spot on that I personally consider it to be canon. In fact, I love Amadeus' videos so much that I decided to adapt one of his videos, A Day with Lucifer, into a fully colored comic. Check out the video of the comic later. And it goes without saying, Amadeus Films is a huge inspiration for my Helltaker art journey. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem quite active these days, but I hope he eventually comes back one day. In any case, give him a follow and thank you Amadeus Films for your awesome videos. Another example is Team 133. Shortly after Helltaker released, I wanted to see a full dating sim sequel that explored Taker's relationship with each girl, similar to Amadeus Films' videos, but more interactive. And I was thrilled to see that someone actually stepped up to make it come true in the form of Second Circle. Second Circle is similar to Amadeus films, where it explores the lives of each demon girl roughly 1 year after the whole harem settled on the surface. But unlike Amadeus films, with Second Circle, you get to explore the whole story from the POV of the Helltaker and make interactive decisions like a proper dating sim. Whether it's going salsa dancing with Modius, lifting weights at the gym with Justice, or a trip to the Butterfly Gardens with Judgment, you'll get the full slices of lives of each demon girl. And thanks to the talented artist Dana O'Hara, you'll be fully immersed through the new sprites of each demon girl, wonderful backgrounds, and cutscenes. The game is free to play but still unfinished, with updates for new dates pending. Still, check it out, and thank you to Team 133 for developing such an awesome project, as well as Dana O'Hara for illustrating all the awesome art, so give him a follow as well. And there are still so many more awesome fan works of Helltaker, which I can't go over all because that would take all day. Still, if I could chip myself in, as a huge fan of both Amadeus films and Second Circle, I try to emulate the same theme with my own Helltaker fanarts, presenting mundane yet wholesome slices of life, as well as compilation series of the demon girls within certain themes, such as martial arts or Olympic sports. For some, these mundane details may sound trivial and not as exciting, but to me, these little things are what flesh out the characters of any works of fiction. Even in real life, little details about others, such as their hobbies and favorite food, can define a lot about an individual. Which is why slices of life are such a gem, even within Helltaker. In any case, all of this shows how active and vibrant the Helltaker fandom is. And Van Ripper didn't have to lift a finger with it all. His loyal and dedicated fans all did it for him. In fact, sometimes I feel like the fans are more invested in Helltaker than Van Ripper himself. In any case, I really love this community. Speaking of that, I have never seen a community of a fandom so wholesome and chill as Helltaker. Some of you may be wondering, why is that such a big deal? Well, unfortunately, many communities of certain fandoms suffer from a lot of toxic behaviors and overall negativity. I won't name any in particular, but I'll leave it to your imagination. Some are so toxic that even if someone likes the medium itself, a toxic community can still suck the joy out of it and therefore drive people away. It's unfortunate, but all too common. However, the same cannot be said about Helltaker. In fact, the community is so wholesome, it's hard to believe it sometimes. In fact, there is little to no drama within the community. Well, I guess the only drama that I remember of is when Examtaker came out, which caused a brief uproar within some that refused to accept that the precious Azazel fell and became Loremaster. Even so, it was just a brief flare-up and nothing that permanently poisoned the well, so to speak. Aside from that, however, the overwhelming majority within the community are great people. Nobody bickers with each other about which girl is the best because the only acceptable answer is that every girl is best girl. Even within the Helltaker subreddit, users get along quite nicely by sharing funny memes and awesome fan arts. And that says something a lot because Reddit can be a bit of a mixed bag. And speaking of fan arts, the fact that new fan artists get positive receptions and welcomed into the community with open arms speaks volumes about the positive atmosphere. In other, less desirable fandoms, there exists a lot of gatekeeping within the community where fan arts that don't live up to the arbitrary standards of a toxic but vocal minority get dunked on, sometimes with horrible comments. Once again, I won't call out any specific communities, but you can probably think of one or two in your mind right now. It really sucks, but unfortunately there are people that terrible out there whose only goal is to tear down others to their level and even get joy out of it. Still, do not let them get to you. Keep your head up high, keep drawing, and enjoy it. And fortunately, you don't have to worry too much about that in the Helltaker community, especially the subreddit. Not only are the users there quite jovial, I've met some great people over there, such as Jluxstar, Significant Hippo 8193, and of course, the two and only Kapitan Sladek and Lornor. We may have friendly banters about which demon girl is best, but in the end, we're all here to enjoy sharply dressed demon girls and have a chill time together. Last but not least, this one's a bit more personal. As you can tell, I'm an artist, and I feel very blessed and grateful to be part of the Helltaker fan art community. But before all that, I really struggled to find my footing as an artist. I struggled with drawing, finding my art style, and overall felt really lost in my pursuit of art. But discovering Helltaker changed all of that. After binging on all the Helltaker content during the summer of 2021, One day, out of a whim, I decided to draw my first Helltaker fan art in the form of Pandamonica as a mobster, which turned out a lot better than I expected, especially considering how much I struggled with drawing up to that point. And given how much people liked it when I posted on the subreddit, I proceeded with making it a full series called Morningstar Chronicles, where I drew the rest of the demon girls as mobsters. But that's all I planned on doing with Helltaker, before eventually moving on to other fandoms and making original content. Yet, something about Helltaker made me want to continue making fanarts longer and stay within the community. And I'm really glad I did because it allowed me to explore the Helltaker fandom on a deeper level, as well as expand my overall creative outlets. Through these endeavors, I've become a much better artist than I was back in 2021. I've become much better at drawing characters, as well as improved in my background making, which is something I always try to tie in every art I make to give the quote-unquote whole experience. Also, some eccentric folks here pay more attention to the backgrounds than the demon girls for some reason. I'm looking at you, Lornor. Anyways, if it wasn't for Helltaker, I would not be the artist I am today. Furthermore, it's allowed me to meet some awesome people within the community, be it on the subreddit or on this channel. And the overwhelming positive reception to my Helltaker fanarts not only make me feel valued in the fandom, but also gives me confidence to continue being the best artist I can be. So thank you to everyone in the Helltaker fandom for being such great sports. I'm not crying. You're crying. Huh? What the? Hey! So that wraps up why Helltaker is so awesome, and why I love it so damn much. To me, Helltaker is much more than just a casual puzzle game about sharply dressed hot demon girls. To me, and many others I'd wager, Helltaker is a community. A community where fellow fans can indulge in their favorite hot demon girls, as well as partake in their own creative endeavors around the fandom. It is a community of wholesome refuge, filled with equally wholesome and positive folks who are there to have a great time, without shame nor judgment. And no, not your wifey. That's what I thought! For these reasons, Helltaker, despite being a free casual puzzle game on the surface, not only reached such prominent heights, but is also able to stand the test of time by retaining such popularity 5 years afterwards. I can't even imagine how Van Ripper feels. I'm willing to bet that even he did not expect such overwhelming success. A surprise for sure, but a welcome one nonetheless. Suffice it to say, happy 5th anniversary to Helltaker and its awesome fandom. Lastly, here's the finished drawing of Judgment Bolt. Usain Bolt may be retired, but his iconic lightning pose still lives on, and I can't think of anyone better for it than Judgment, who is very much a lightning in her own right. Anyways, that wraps up the Olympic Taker series. I hope everyone enjoyed their favorite demon girls partaking in their events, as well as the 2024 Paris Olympics itself. And up next is why Second Circle is so damn awesome. That's right, I love Second Circle so much that I personally consider it to be the unofficial sequel to Helltaker. And given how much it's inspired my own Helltaker journey, it's only right that I give something back through a dedicated video of its own. So stay tuned, and until next time. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon for supporting this channel. My $5 patrons are Kapitan Sladek, Kitsap, and Chocobird. My $2 patrons are Komida the Prep Cook Demon. If you would like to appear at the end credits of my videos, as well as have early access and exclusive content on Patreon, feel free to hop on over to patreon.com/LTELawrence and give a pledge. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you would like to see my artwork as well, feel free to check out my other platforms like DeviantArt for my entire gallery. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, this is T. Lawrence signing out. Have a good one.